Hey guys, it's Nicole and welcome to my 11 to 13 week bump date. I'm kind of combining these few weeks because I was really slack and so busy that I didn't get time to sit down and film a video. And to be honest, there isn't like a huge amount of stuff to update you guys on. At the moment, I'm 13 weeks and 4 days and I'm just going to tell you all about what is happening this week. So baby is currently the size of a kiwi fruit, and it weighs approximately 23 grams and is 7.5 centimeters long, which is just crazy to think how quickly this little baby has been growing. So this week our baby has the ability to open and close its fists and make a sucking movement with the muscles of its mouth. It's just a matter of time before the thumb and mouth meet. All the organs in your baby's digestive system are developing into their final shapes, including the stomach, liver, pancreas, and intestines. Even your baby's lungs are practicing breathing, but only obviously the amniotic fluid. The lungs don't actually breathe oxygen until birth. The urine that your baby excretes into the amniotic fluid is not harmful and is quickly removed via the umbilical cord. And in terms of me, you are now at the beginning of your second trimester, which is really exciting. Morning sickness may have become a thing in the past, or it may just be making a slow exit. You will probably notice your energy returning, as is your libido. Unfortunately, you may also begin to notice stretch marks on your breast, abdomen, and even back. The degree to which stretch marks develop will depend on your skin's elasticity. If you haven't already started wearing maternity clothes, then you may have to start now. It's also possible that you may begin to feel some aches in your abdomen, known as round ligament pain, which is due to the stretching of your ligaments that hold your uterus in place. So basically, I have noticed that my morning sickness symptoms have decreased. Probably week 11 and 12 they had reduced a little bit, but not as much as I was hoping. But then I think this week they definitely haven't been as much as they were previously. I'm still a little bit tired, but definitely nowhere near as much as I was at the beginning of my pregnancy, and I'm finding that I'm not really having to nap much anymore. Occasionally, like if I have a day off or something like that, I might have a nap, but I'm not at the point that I used to be where like I would just have to have a nap because I was so tired. So that's good. I'm still getting headaches, but definitely not as much, probably every other day instead of every day, and the nausea has definitely settled down a lot. So normally I would get that towards like the afternoon and evening, and I really haven't had that at all the last week that I can think of. I had a few episodes of dry reaching, like I think that was a couple of days ago over the weekend, and it basically just gets set off if I cough or like I choke on something, and it never, like it passes really quickly and I never actually vomit. So I did have one episode of that which was a bit random, but other than that, like I haven't had any of that nausea that I was having before. I have to say though, I am getting a lot more uncomfortable in my pelvic region and lower abdomen, and I really wasn't expecting that to happen so soon. Obviously when you're pregnant, your body releases a hormone called relaxin, which relaxes all of your muscles and your ligaments in your pelvis so that, you know, it can accommodate your stretching uterus, and everything stretches and adapts to that. So I know it's really normal to feel general aches and pains. I guess I just wasn't expecting it so early. I'm getting quite a bit of pain in my tailbone, and I've had that for a few weeks now, and at first I just thought it was because I went and watched Ryan play football, and I was sitting on like these benches that were really uncomfortable, and I was sitting there for a few hours watching him, so I put it down to that, and then it did go away for a couple of days, but it's kind of back again. It's not terrible, it's just noticeable, and certain times of the day are worse than others, and I really notice it when I sit and will put pressure on it. But again, it's not terrible. I don't need to take pain relief or anything like that for it. I mean, even if I did, I probably wouldn't, to be honest. And I'm definitely getting lower back pain as well, and again, that's worse at the end of the day, especially when I lie down to go to sleep. Again, it's not terrible and certain days are worse than others, but it's nothing that I can't manage. I did go see my osteopath hoping that that would help, and basically he was saying that until 15 weeks they're really careful about doing any manipulations and that sort of thing. He did do a gentle manipulation, and I mean, it made a difference for probably for a day, but then I have to admit after that the pain was back again. So I don't think there's any point going back, at least for a couple of weeks. What I'm thinking is I might try and get an acupuncture appointment instead, because I feel like that would probably help more at this stage. I still get the stretching, growing sort of pain. Definitely noticed that in the 12th week I had lots of stretching sort of pain, and definitely felt like Bub was having a growth spurt, and that was reflected in the 12-week scan that we had as well. So I'll talk about that in a minute. Other than that, I feel like everything is going well. I did have some recent blood tests which shows that my iron levels, which were really low at the start of my pregnancy, they were at a 5, and like the lower limit, they would want it above 9. So 5 is quite low, and I had them repeated last week when I had my blood test done for my scan, and my iron levels have actually come up to 26, which I was so surprised about, because to be honest, I have not been taking any supplements. As you guys know what I was on before, I've been really trying to stick with the pregnancy multi and the iron and vitamin C, but the last few weeks of pregnancy, just the thought of taking those tablets just would make me nauseous and sick, so I haven't been taking them consistently. I would probably be taking my pregnancy multi once or twice a week maximum, and I wasn't taking the iron at all. So I was really surprised that my levels have come back that high. The one thing that I had been trying to do is increase my dietary iron. So I'm not normally a huge fan of red meat, but I did all of a sudden have craving for lamb, and so there was like a week or so there where I was eating quite a bit of lamb. So I'd have lamb pretty much every night for dinner, and beef doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not like normally a steak type person, but I could definitely stomach the lamb, and I was really enjoying it. So that's the only thing that's really different in terms of my diet. So I can't help but think that the supplements in a way were interfering with my iron absorption, which is really strange. But I was on the pregnancy multis for like well over 6 months, and they contain iron, and when I first fell pregnant, my iron levels were really low, and you would expect if I was on supplements for that long that it shouldn't have been that low. So I don't know, it's a bit strange really, but the way I see it now, I'm over that first trimester, so I don't think I'm going to take any supplements at the moment. I'll see how I go, but yeah, I just think perhaps they just weren't working for me, and maybe I'll have to change brands or something like that. I'm not really sure. Now getting into my scan, I had my scan last Thursday, and everything was really well. The lady that did my scan was absolutely lovely. She was really good at explaining things. I didn't tell her that I actually worked at the hospital and that I was a midwife, because I feel like if I was to say that, she probably wouldn't have been as thorough with explaining things. And like, I obviously knew everything that she was saying about the scan and that sort of stuff, but you know, Ryan doesn't know that sort of stuff. That's not his specialty. So I really thought it was important that he like knew everything and she explained everything to him, because if I would have said I was a midwife, she probably would have skimmed past it, and then he would have probably been confused or wouldn't have understood what she was talking about. So that was really good. She was absolutely lovely. The scan itself, Didn't take too long, probably about 20 minutes to half an hour, and she saw everything that she needed to see, which was great. They gave us a disc full of images, which was really lovely as well. Most of the images, you know, to be honest, are ones of you know, like kidneys, brain, heart, like all of that sort of stuff, but we did get a few cute side profiles and that sort of thing. So I'll show you guys one of the photos, and this is probably the cutest photo that we got. So this is our little baby. So if you're not really familiar with scans, obviously that's the baby's head, neck, body, and this up here is the baby's little hands, and that's its cute little nose and mouth and forehead. So when she was doing the scan, she said that baby actually measured, can't remember whether it was 4 or 5 days ahead of my due date, which was quite funny because my very first scan at 7 weeks said that I was 2 days behind my due date, and now I'm like 4 or 5 days ahead of my due date. Obviously we are not going to change my due date because we know when everything happened, when baby was conceived, when baby was put it back in, so there's no point in changing my due date. And you know, for myself, the midwife in me is like, I am not moving my due date forward, because then if I go overdue, I don't want the pressure of having to be induced when I know that I'm not actually due for another 4 to 5 days. So I think a lot of people, they go to have their scan and they get told that their due date is changing and that sort of thing, but I think in your heart, if you know when your baby was conceived that you shouldn't change your due date and you should stick with whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah, like I said, we will not be changing my due date. It is going to be staying the same. I do not want pressure to be induced before my baby is ready. So at the moment, if you plot baby on the growth chart, it shows that baby is greater than the 95th percentile in terms of length. I'm really not worried about that. Like I said, I could feel that baby was having a growth spurt with all that stretching and stuff, so it's really not surprising that he or she was measuring a few days ahead, and I feel like, you know, it'll probably even out so that the next scan it'll be measuring like perfect. The lady that did the scan actually said that they were really, like, at this stage they've gotten really good at being able to tell the gender of the baby, which I thought was quite interesting because I didn't think that it would be very accurate at this gestation. Obviously we don't want to know what we're having, so we didn't ask, and she didn't say anything, which was great. And I tried not to have a look down there, but to be honest, like at this gestation I probably wouldn't know what I'm looking at anyway, but definitely for the next scan I will have to make sure that I'm not looking anywhere down in that region because I don't want to accidentally see something that I don't want to see. So that is about it in terms of the 11 to 13 week update. I have my first midwife appointment tomorrow, which is going to be really interesting because obviously I'm used to being the midwife and not the patient, so it's going to be really interesting to be on the other side of things. So I'm really looking forward to that, and in my next update I will tell you guys all about it. One thing I just thought of actually, so that's about it for this update. One thing I did want to show you is my little bump that's growing. Keep in mind that I actually have just eaten, so it's probably going to be a bit bigger than it normally is when I wake up, but I thought I would show you guys. So this is front on, and then this is from the side. So you can see there's a little bit of a bump there.